I've done it again. I'm awful. Something's never changed, okay? Whether it's me, live streams, podcasts, whatever, audio difficulties, always a good one. Ladies, gentlemen, birds, everything in between, welcome. Eagles football is upon us. The birds are back. And I thought, why not make the prolonged return? It's been a while since I've been here on YouTube. I know some of you are pining for it. Some of you have been glad that I've been away. But now my British chaos is here to wind you up all over again. It's currently, I'm in my flat, all right? I'm not in the office because, it's just a long walk at the minute. So maybe we'll go down there. We'll get the green screen. I can start knocking that over again. But I just wanted to take the time to say thank you for still supporting PSN. I've not been away entirely from PSN. It's just my role obviously has changed, over the past few years. I used to be able to commit 3-4 hours a day to videos and live streaming. And then it all becomes a case of running the website, managing the team, making sure we've got the content out, sorting out all the behind the scenes stuff. So the YouTube stuff for me was always a little bit on the back burner. And over the past couple of years, guys like Brian, guys like Phil Stifle with the Breakfast Show have done an amazing job at just giving you guys content. And every time I come back and do whether it's a draft stream, whether it's an appearance on the Breakfast Show on Friday, I always get that fire to want to come back and to want to start creating again. But I get nervous, if I'm honest. I get a little bit of stage fright. And I think I've been off that hamster wheel for so long that I got a little bit nervous that you guys, A, might have forgotten, B, might not care anymore. It has been a couple of years. And C, there are so many damn good YouTube creators now. I'm like, do I even have my niche anymore in this space? So I'm really excited to be back. I feel like three shows a week, an hour each on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll get there in the end. I can do that. I can roll with that for an hour. I can come and chill with you guys and just talk birds and go over everything. It's nice to see Zach already in the chat. I don't even have to highlight comments. There we go. Phil's in. Phil said hello. I'll try my best. And just thank you to all of the nice comments. Again, I wasn't sure how many of you would be back, how many of you would tune in. So it does mean a lot that you're here. But I suppose we should start talking about the Eagles. If I do start coughing everywhere, I can't infect you with COVID through the computer screen, luckily, but I am still battling the remnants of it. So bear with me. If I do start sounding like a Bring Me the Horizon vocalist at any point during this live stream. But we are 2 days away from Eagles football. Expectations are high. And I think it depends who you talk to, but there's almost like a blind sense of confidence that this is a given this team gets back to the Super Bowl. And there's also this just blind confidence in Sirianni and the culture that's been built. And I'll repeat what I said on Phil's Trending in the AM broadcast on Friday or Thursday, Wednesday, whenever it was. It was one day last week of where I'm at with this Eagles team. Because if you've not been reading my content, you'll have no idea. Does Liam hate everyone? Is there a player he's got a little thing for? Is he going to start singing for anyone again? We don't know. But where I'm at is I think the thing last year was there was a belief in Jalen Hurts that he could take the development. He could take that leap forward. And my stance at the end of 2021 was Hurts has got all the right fundamentals as a person you could ever want. All he's got to do is clean up the short throws over the middle that lacked a little bit of zip, a little bit of power. If he could sort out the whole having to dart first, if he could just have a bit more composure in the pocket, let the plays come to him, then he's going to be fine. He doesn't have to be the best quarterback in the league. He can be top 15 with that offense. He'll be golden. And what we got was an offense built around Jalen Hurts so he could thrive. And he naturally then became the second or third best, depending how you feel, quarterback in the NFL. So where we're at this year with this team is a little bit different than last year, because now we're not hoping, and it's this kind of proving the doubters wrong that Hurts is this and Hurts is that, and Sirianni can coach, and he's not just a positive talker like someone out of the office. But you've now got a team that have proven themselves to be among the elite, that were just shy of a Super Bowl. The only genuine concern I have is the schedule. And that's nothing to do with the Eagles. But as I said on Phil's show on Friday, or again, Thursday, whatever it was, I've already messing that up. I don't think it matters, expectation-wise, because if they beat the Chiefs, if they beat the Bills, if they beat the Jets, if they go on a run and they end that season strong, there is no doubt in my mind that Jalen Hurts is the MVP, that the Eagles should be destined for that. So there is no team better than the Eagles, top to bottom, in the NFC right now. And it's just a fact. It's not even an opinion. You can look at any team. Name them in the chat if you want. The 49ers, mid with a good defense, their best coordinator's gone. I'm not buying it. Sure, they've spunked a lot of money on Christian McCaffrey. You've still got the Brock Purdy thing. Trey Lance is no longer there. as, I guess, the long-term insurance policy. So I'm not sold on San Francisco. And outside of that, there just aren't many teams that inspire that much confidence, at least are up there. So I don't know. If you want to name some NFC teams that you think are going to be viable contenders, I mean, the only one that genuinely comes to mind is Minnesota. And that's not because they're direct challengers. It's just because the roster's steadily gotten better. Kirk Cousins isn't brilliant, but that's, if I'm honest, and this is no disrespect to Jalen Hurts, going into 2022, if he could have just been Kirky level production, I would have been perfectly fine. That was enough of a step forward. To see him go from where he was to MVP candidate blew everyone away. And I think now the expectation for fans is, oh, well, they'll be back in the Super Bowl. Just the Lions, yeah. Lions are interesting. Obviously, last night's game was a bit of a wake-up call. The Giants I don't buy just because Daniel Jones exists, and that's enough for me. Hang on. Why do you think Sam Bradford... Right, we're already starting. That's taken what? Where are we? 6 minutes, 52 seconds. We are already started. Matty Mac is what he should be affectionately known as from this day forth. Why do you think Sam Bradford wore his sleeves like that? Because it's badass, that's why. Because that man is a cult hero. Johnny Manziel has a documentary on Netflix. I don't see why Sam Bradford doesn't, because he's Captain Charisma. There is no one more charismatic than the eye and the itch and the sleeves. He's great. Love him. I've still got my Sam Bradford jersey in my wardrobe. Love the guy to death. Can we get the 1 seed, says Greg Moody? I think so. I don't think that, again, there's much challenge in the NFC from, or at least to go direct with Philadelphia. I really think Philadelphia should have this locked in. It's tricky because there are like teams out there like Detroit that will take that step forward. I think Detroit were a team that inspired a back half run last year. They weren't particularly great in the first 6-7 games, and they just got it together. It didn't save their stats at all. Like, the defense was still muddied, but it just looked a little bit better than what we saw. And all Jared Goff has got to do, again, is be capable and not turn the ball over. And Detroit have then a functioning offense. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a very exciting player to watch. We know Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be one of the best receivers in the NFL for a long time. And there are guys like Sam Laporta who are going to be fun to watch, like potential next tight end breakouts. It's easy for people to look at that Kansas City team and be like, oh, well, the writing was on the wall. I don't think it was. I think it really was just a case of Patrick Mahomes realizing that maybe the receiving help wasn't quite there. And credit Detroit. Like, this is what winds me up, I think, a lot with the NFL. I've missed this, by the way. I'm just rambling. I'm going to be a stream of high-pitched British nonsense for an hour, and you're going to love it, sort of. Like, a team like Detroit knocks off the Kansas City Chiefs. And everyone's like, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have the help. And the running back ran into a group of players. And Sky Moore's the worst receiver in the NFL. And blah, blah. Like, that's great. But where is the respect for Detroit? And maybe it's because I'm an Eagles fan. Maybe it's because I've covered this team long enough to see the same, like, script play out year after year after year. The Eagles just aren't good enough. It was the other team lost the game. The Eagles didn't win it. Detroit won that game, in my opinion. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, the tone was set early. As soon as that third or fourth drive was done, I messaged my friend and was like, it sounds very LeBron-esque, I know, but I was like, I think Detroit's going to win this outright. Didn't bet them, unfortunately. I mean, I just bet on Jared Goff to have over 0.5 picks, so that went well. But yeah, I don't know. I think you've got to stop that whole discredit the team that won and say it was just the other team lost. It doesn't work like that. Like, Detroit played good enough to win that game. They deserve to win that game, and they should hold their heads high. They're very similar to the Eagles in that regard. And Eagles fans, I think, should have a little bit of a soft spot just because look at how atrocious it's. Well, like, how many times have Detroit been bad in the past 15 years? The Matt Stafford era was absolutely wasted. I'm pretty sure, was it 2008? They were like 0 wins or very close to it or something ridiculous. Like, to get that level of confidence from Dan Campbell and inspiring confidence is what Sirianni's done. And the NFC now is a division of gradual builders. And that's where I think the Eagles are ahead, because they're still making all of these steps forward. They're just ahead. Like, the other teams are still rebuilding. They're still finding themselves. Like, if you look at a team like Carolina, I love Atlanta. Atlanta is one of my wild cards this year, just overall. Because if you look at the offense last year, Marcus Mariota isn't exactly the greatest quarterback in the world. Eagles fans can attest to that. You put Desmond Ridder in there. You give him Drake London. You give him Bijan Robinson. You give him what's left of Kyle Pitts if he can salvage this once great reputation. You've got a defense now that contains the likes of Jesse Bates. Like, that's a team, again, on the same trajectory that the Eagles were a year or two ago. And Jesse Bates is your Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And for lack of a better comparison, your Bijan, the equivalent would be an AJ Brown, as like that playmaker you've bought in for the long term. So there are teams in the NFC that are good, and they will challenge and they will upset teams. But the Eagles have skipped the whole start all underdogs. Oh, they're getting good. Oh, they're hot. Oh, this is the year. And just gone right to this is the year. The next challenge for them is sustaining it. And the only way they're going to sustain it is to beat whoever's in front of them, which just so happens this year to have the ability to shut everyone up. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. You've got 4 or 5 teams that are proven playoff commodities in the NFL, or will be proven commodities in the NFL. It's that simple. If the Eagles can do well this year, they may even be the most complete team in the entire NFL. And I don't think that's an understatement anymore. So it's a fun year. That's where I'm at with this team. That's my overall opinion. I thought we'd just get that out there to start with. I think this team is good enough to get back to the Super Bowl. When you're in there, it is a coin flip naturally. I don't think anyone can say week 1 my team will win the Super Bowl and guarantee it and put money on it. It's going to happen. But I believe they'll be NFC champions because I don't think there is a roster good enough. And even if there is, the depth-wise the Eagles have right now across the board, especially in the trenches, is just too good. It doesn't matter. The only areas of weakness are wide receiver, I think, where you've got OZ, that's what I'm going to call him, Quez Watkins behind Devontae and AJ, and there just isn't that much serviceable depth back there. That could be a problem if one of them does go down. Whoa, my God, what, Eugene? There is no need for that. I mean, that's a VAR refund. Is he meant to do it right? If you meant to hit $1 and you've accidentally sent 100, please let me know, and I will send 100 back because that is a lot of money. But yeah, that I massively appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's incredible. Don't make me look. I was even going to come back. I came back after Phil's show on Thursday. I was like, there's gas in the tank. I've got some value. I want to have fun with you guys. You're incredible, man. That means the world. You're going to make me tear up on a Friday evening. Yeah, just that. Thank you so much. I mean, see, I'm not even taking the mic. I would say taking the piss for the British thing, but you're actually getting me teary. That's, incredibly kind. Like I said, when I first started tonight, I was talking to my girlfriend 20 minutes before, and I was like, I'm a little bit nervous, and she was like, we've done 1 million of these, and I'm like, but it's different because I've been away for 2 years. I haven't done videos. I kind of come back and sprinkle a bit, and then it gets a bit overwhelming, and I kind of step away, and I've got to do other things. So I wasn't sure if people would remember and care. So that is just an incredible gesture and means the world. So thank you so much, Eugene. Is there anything we can do for you? I don't know, shout outs, or I don't know, give you a shirt or something, or charity, whatever. Just let us know. That's an incredibly kind gesture. Tyrone says, playing the schedule we have and succeeding will shake up the league. We're playing the best 2 divisions in the NFL. Yeah, that's very much the balancing thing. But in a way, I think the Eagles need that challenge because realistically, if you're going to push this Eagles team to the top, you cannot go through another year with that schedule without the entire media being, last year they played a bum schedule, and this year's a cupcake schedule, and next year's a cupcake schedule. Because you're never going to get the respect on Jalen's name. You're never going to get the respect on Sirianni's name, on the defense's name. They need that challenge. We don't. I will say this, okay? This is with genuine, I won't say malice. That's probably a bit strong. But if Jonathan Gannon was the defensive coordinator still, and the Eagles hadn't have let him go, or he willingly fucked up, excuse me, language. We're past the watershed, it's fine. If he hadn't willingly left, I think he would have been very much found out this year. I think he'd be very much humiliated this year, and he would have been kicked out of Philadelphia, maybe even in a body bag. I don't know. Where I think there is some real upside here is Sean Desai. And a lot of people look at Sean Desai and are like, well, he wasn't great during his time in Chicago. The difference is between the two, Desai comes from the Vic Fangio school of coaching, which the Eagles are besotted with for some bizarre reason. They tried to get him in, as we know, so that's always good. But he's someone that likes to be creative. He likes versatile players. And Howie Roseman must have had a twinkle in his eye during that interview because you can see it in the players they've brought in. And there are 2 that spring to mind straight off the bat. In Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown. I think there'll be absolute X factors this year for this team. I think that you've got a coordinator that instead of dropping Fletcher Cox back into coverage for no reason and then Fletch complaining about it, you're going to have someone that can play Hassan Reddick across the line, Nolan Smith across the line, Jalen Carter across the line. Mix up with the linebackers. There's not much depth at linebacker, sure. But you've got Reddick and Smith that can play both of those outside spots. You've got someone like Sidney Brown that can be that extra box defender and take that pressure off. So that's the difference. Like, Gannon had the talent, not the scheme. I think Desai has the scheme for the talent, which is, I know, a bit of a backwards way of putting it. But if Gannon had still been here, he would have been found out this year, because there is no way that the Chiefs, the Bills, guys like Garrett Wilson, like, they would just milk that scheme dry because there is no adjustment. You're not going to get that with Sean Desai. It might not be perfect. The Eagles might end up having their own defensive weaknesses, be it linebacker, be it missed tackling, be it whatever. It could be flags. We don't know. But I think there will be a level of intensity there that should masquerade it a little bit and say, look, this defense is here to play. It fits the players. And, you know, an NFL at the end of the day is the best team of, I think it was in the Eagles video earlier, it's the best team, not the best group of individuals. And that's where Desai's going to make the difference. Let's have a look. Need the in-person reaction to only 1 p.m. Well, that's it. I wasn't even trying to react to it. I just read it out and immediately guffed. I mean, it's annoying. Okay, so let's have a context, okay? It's currently 11 p.m. here, and I look like I'm either about to pass out or I've just smoked one massive joint. Well, the first one's true. But, like, we're now going to be at a point where the Eagles are on at, like, 12 a.m. or 1 a.m., near enough every week for me, which means I'll be in bed by about 5 a.m., 6 a.m., maybe. But the good news is Monday I can react and we'll do a live stream and we can, you know, have fun and you can see the bags like down here. But it's football season. It's different. Like, I've done this long enough now where I kind of get used to it. I will say, like, I kind of last year and the year before was afforded a bit of a step back because we've had so many writers and great people like Zach and Brian and Nick Farry who can write and edit the content, and it's obviously a relatively normal time for them, so I can sleep. But yeah, you do it. I've done this since 2015 now, so I'm kind of used to it. Although I will say I'm struggling more with early mornings, and I'm 28. I feel like the jersey's in the rafters. I'm past my prime. You might see a more tired Liam and more slow and calm streams now, like a little bit like ASMR rather than screaming about Cravon LeBlanc or Carry On My Wayward Son. There might be a bit more of this and how don't panic because the Eagles are fine. We don't know. We're about to see. Liam, did you eat fish and chips? I didn't today. I made a chicken wrap today for anyone that cares. So there's that. But I do have a fish and chip shop about 30 seconds from my house. So maybe one day I'll like tweet a video of me going in and ordering a fish and chip shop. True story. The woman that runs it is Portuguese. Used to live in Lisbon, and apparently her younger brother grew up playing football with Cristiano Ronaldo. One now works in a chip shop away from me. The other is the most successful footballer of all time. Funny how life pans out, but you never know. Pork roll is made of leftover pig parts. It's really good. This is all right. See, this is the thing. Everyone else at PSN can have live streams where it's just birds chat all the time. I end up getting things like when I did the Q&A for all the OGs that listen to the Outside Insider. And I was like, send your questions in for Thank You Next. My little segment, loved it. We played Ariana Grande. We answered your questions about the Eagles over like a 1-minute quick fire response. And someone emailed me out the blue saying, do you ski? And that was the question. This is like, and this is why I can't go away. This is why I have to be back, because there is a level of like connection, I feel like, between me and the people watching this where it's just sheer chaos and we embrace it. Desai may be good at adjusting, but struggle with a good starting game plan. That's fair enough. I mean, but again, there wasn't a lot of overall talent during his time in Chicago, and the players that were there have either got massive paydays or have gone elsewhere. So it's interesting. I think Desai's going to be the wild card for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very intrigued. I have actually, if the notes transform onto my phone, I don't actually know yet, so you're going to have to bear with me. This might mess up the stream. But I did make a list of awards. Yes, it's saved. Right, lovely. Okay, then. So I've made 6 awards for the Eagles. Do I ski? I can barely walk, Matt. Let's not put skiing into the equation. Playing golf, I nearly suffer torn ACLs. Let's not discuss skiing for now. But I've made some predictions for the Eagles overall, including MVP, most receiving yards, most sacks, most improved player, overlooked to overbooked, and biggest disappointment. So we're going to go through those now. And I want to kind of go through them with you guys. Feel free to drop your names in the chat as well. Like, that's the beauty of this conversation. If you would like to get involved, please make sure you leave a like, hit subscribe. Again, this show will be live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Happy days for the Outside Insider forever. You've got a lifetime deal, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times a week, 6 p.m. Your drive time show. Let's get going. All right, make sure you stick around. Everyone's welcome. We're all buddies here. MVP for the team for 2023 shouldn't come as any surprise. I put Jalen Hurts. I would put a punter. They don't have one. We'll quickly touch on that because I still think having no punter is an upgrade over Aaron Sipos, and I'm not even exaggerating. I don't understand the mindset in bringing in, so-called Legatron, the undrafted free agent, Dicker the kicker. Wasn't it? Is it Dickerson? I forgot his name now. Anyway, they brought him in, loses the punting job despite punting more yards on average than Sipos did. His punting yardage was better than Sipos in the preseason. Okay, he still loses the punting job. So you think, okay, well, that's fine. They've tried something, it hasn't worked. No worries, doesn't matter. They've got Aaron Sipos. It's not the end of the world. Never mind, they've cut him. Right then. So now Aaron Sipos is on the practice squad and he can be called up no one's going to claim him, put it that way. He's not going to get moved anywhere, is he? No one is rushing to the phone lines to sign Aaron Sipos. You have to worry, but you can only call him up a few times. So what are they going to do? Jake Elliott could man both duties, I suppose. I don't know if there's that much technical difference in kicking and punting. It's not an area I've done a ton of research in, to be honest with you. I'll level with you there. But even without Aaron Sipos, I feel as though the Eagles are in a better situation than where they were. Maybe they're going to bring in an undrafted free agent. Maybe they're waiting for someone to hit the waiver wire or someone off the practice squad. But I don't know, man. He was punting 40 yards on average last year. It wasn't great. The worst move Harry Roseman has ever made, unironically, is letting go Cameron Johnston. I cannot count the amount of times I've watched a punt go 2 yards in front and be would have been at least 80 yards further with Cameron Johnston, but unfortunately not. The game's the game. Yeah, it is weird. I mean, to be fair to him though, Matt, Sipos didn't exactly provide much confidence as a punter. I don't blame. They had to find a role for him somewhere and someone to hold the ball. It's pros of your punter. He holds the ball really well. Cons, he can't punt. It's not the best resume, is it? But if it's a niche strength of his, I can't do an Eagles film room on how someone holds a football during a kick. I think that's even pushing my limits of creativity. I'm all for songs. I'm all for Carry On My Wayward Son. I'm all for Marcus Mariota. I cannot make a video about someone holding a ball for punting. And I don't know where. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they just won't punt. Maybe this is the next evolution of the whole analytic football thing. Maybe the Eagles just won't punt in 2023. Who's to say? Zach says open tryouts. I'd still outkick or outpunt Aaron Sipos. And while I'm there, I'll beat up Devontae Smith in a boxing fight. Although I do feel bad for that comment. He's a lovely man. And he is, again, my favourite receiver in the NFL at this point. I love him to bits. I think he's got the highest upside of any receiver in the NFL. I would still knock him out in a boxing fight, I would reckon. Sorry, Devontae. I was emergency keeper for my high school and club teams. I can punt the egg. Oh, you probably could, Matt. You probably could. I don't understand. I really don't understand. It's the only area, but it's so confusing because it's the simplest position to get right. I remember I used to do some work for this NFL agent who I'm pretty sure isn't an agent anymore. So that's fine because I can talk about it. Unless he's watching this, in which case I hope everything's okay. But he basically had 3 clients. One was a defensive tackle who plays in the Canadian Football League now. Lovely man. One was a punter. And it was very, 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 very difficult trying to find a tryout for a punter when it's the only position in the league outside of kicker where there's 32. That's it. There are 32 punters in the NFL on teams. That's it. It's very hard to win leverage over. It's not like a quarterback where different strengths and weaknesses. It's, do you kick the ball high and far? Yes or no? Do you kick it further than that guy? Yes or no? If you do, are you cheaper? Yes or no? Can you do it reliably? We've done it in big games. There's not much leverage. So I don't know if yeah, Howie Roseman has got an ace up his sleeve. But as far as even tryouts, as much as open tryouts will be fun for us, like, it's hard for punters to even get a gig. And the Eagles still have a role, and punters still aren't getting gigs. So that says a lot about how it's the only position he values less than linebacker, I think. The man chat says, Liam, origin story, please. I'll tell you what, right, RJ Hopkins failed? Whoa, okay, look, I was about to applaud you for your commitment to the brand and for knowing about me. That is genuinely impressive. But failed? Give me come on, it wasn't that bad. I gave it a go. All right, so story is, growing up, little nerdy kid, emo kid, like curtain haircut, was thrown around bins for fun, wasn't pretty. And I had no sports teams that I resonated with. I was 16, I think. No, I was like 14. 14, I got an Xbox. And the only game I could afford was Madden, which I think was Madden 08, 09. The one with Vince Young, not Steve Young. Titans quarterback, Young, he was on the cover. That one. Got that one. I had no idea what Madden was. It was just in like the 2 for $10 section of my game store. Started playing it. Just loved the idea of like pounding into everyone, and it sounded a little bit more exciting than like rugby, which I still don't understand. And I was like, this is kind of cool. So I started a career mode. I literally hit random. It landed on the Eagles. So I started playing, and I was like, you know, the players that I like, the Sean McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, whoever, I was like resonating a bit with. I started looking at the team, and it was very much like us against the world. Everyone hates Philadelphia. Underdogs, you know, gritty, work hard, take your lunch pail to work mentality. And I really got with that, because that was all I'd ever known, was to, like, you know, shut everyone up, was work as hard as I can. At the time, I was getting into TV broadcasting, which is where the failed F1 career starts. I was commentating on motorsport. So it was sports car racing, a lot of stuff at circuits. So you ever go to like a NASCAR or an oval circuit, there's like speakers where the commentary goes. And that's what I was doing. I got into TV. I loved it. At the time, I was like 17. And like, it's hard for your work to speak to itself when you're begging for opportunities at like 17. Like, it's just not going to go well. And then you've got people that just kiss ass way better, and they get opportunities. And I was, I don't like it. I don't want to kiss ass. Like, I know I'm good enough to do this. So, all right, in the meantime, I'm going to make another passion. Like passion point. I made phillysportsnetwork.com. It's just a blog to talk about the Eagles, and was like, well, the sites I read were BGN, Philly Voice, the Inquirer, the same as anyone. And I was like, I think there's a niche. You've either got tabloids or you've got blogs. There's no in the middle where you get the depth of a newspaper with the look of a blog. So I tried to make PSN. The OGs will remember, the OG Philly Sports Network looked so clean. And that's why it made no money, because there were no adverts on it, because it looked so clean. So it was a list, and it looked perfect on an iPad. It was beautiful. I can't, even now, it gets me a little bit flustered. And I realized, okay, I've got to work for 5 teams. So I started covering 5, and gradually started building the team together. And I looked for like-minded people. It was really hard at first, because obviously you can't really afford to pay anyone. It was out of my own pocket. And you start trying to find people. I worked at Apple at that point, so part-time. And I was looking at what made Apple special. Like, apparently the acceptance rate at an Apple job is harder than Harvard, they were saying in the interviews. So like, what makes working for there so good? And so like not everyone's on the same page. It's one cohesive unit, and it's the exact same type of people throughout. Like, you'll never meet someone you don't want to work with at Apple. And it was the weirdest thing. I've never had that at any other job. So I just took everything I learned and was like, I'm going to apply that to finding people for PSN. And that's where people like Zach, people like Brian, people like Phil, Sean Bernard, a little wonder kid for the Sixers, that have all come through. David Esser, to bring another one back in the day. Morgan from Flipping the Birds, obviously. Like Chris Infante was one of the earliest people as well. Have all came on and stuck with us. And that, for me, that's the most important thing, is longevity, because we've now got a team where I've known these guys 5-6 years, some of them. You know, I've been doing it since I'm like, you know, I've gone through hell and back with them, like through COVID when there wasn't sport, then up to the point where we sold the company last year, 2 years ago? It's January last year. And yeah, like, so now we're at a point where we sold the company. The writers get a much better opportunity to earn money for their work. The content goes in newspapers at Metro Philadelphia. And we're just in a great spot where it somehow, from a little blog in 2015 to where we are now, I do pinch myself sometimes. Yeah, it's exciting to do this, but that's why, unfortunately, like I could never really commit to YouTube because there were so many other moving parts where I'd wake up and be like, all right, I'm gonna make a video today, and then I've got to do like 17 different things have all popped up in the world of sports. As you know, you could have like an easy day. You think, oh, I can relax today, and then you get an Ian Rappaport tweet at 1 a.m. that someone's torn their ACL, someone signed a 5-year contract, and someone's been fired, and that's it. So yeah, now, like I said, my aim for the past couple of years was to push the spotlight onto people like Brian, who deserved it, people like Zach, people like Phil, who's been busting his ass on the morning show, because they deserve it. Like, I had that come up on YouTube, and it got me to where I was, where I could commit to working behind the scenes and elevating other people. Like, I'm not as much as I love doing YouTube, like, I'm not the biggest camera guy. Believe it or not, I just shout a lot. So I want them to have the spotlight. I want them to feel what I had and that sense of community and belonging. So yeah, like that's where I'm at. But I think now I've got a little bit of time. Life's a little bit more flexible, where I can have that hour or two in the evenings again to commit. So here we are. We're back on YouTube, and I'm really more excited for it. So I promise you there will be more YouTube content. I don't know if I'll be filmed and pre-recorded video content just because editing takes ages. But yeah, I'm back. We'll do live streams. So there's the long story. So failed F1 career, yes, but successful Eagles career, and that's all I could care about, really. Like, there are times that, weirdly enough, I can watch Formula One again as a fan. I went off it so much working in the industry because I was working every Sunday at a track, and you just love it. In the same way with the Eagles, like you love it different because it's work. So there is a bit of a different relationship. But now I see this as like what I love about Philly, if that makes sense, and just the passion of the fans of being able to create that content and get you closer to your teams. So yeah, I don't know, I'll stop rambling about that now, and we'll get to some of your comments. And it was just the first team. No way, that's it. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Madden is like Tinder for NFL fans, right? Like, you don't know what it is, you put it on, you start whacking people, you're like, I like the colors, that I don't know what's going on, but touchdown, interception, wicked, and then you find a team. It's pretty cool. Sega Genesis in the 90s. Oh, dude, I'm a massive retro geek as well. Like, I do love old consoles. I used to collect, like, yeah, Sega. We had a Mega Drive. It's the same thing. We had a Mega Drive. I had like 3 PlayStation 1s and stuff. Yeah, I'm a big retro guy. I've just missed the mock draft sing-alongs. I'm sure there'll be more. I'm sure we'll get some stuff going. I tell you what, this is a little secret I'll share with you now. I very nearly pulled the trigger on a Marcus Mariota sing-along. You heard glimpses of it, but that I can't remember what the song was called, because like the only one I ever resonated with is the Weird Al Yoda song. I know there's is it Lola, the original? L-O-L-A, Lola. That, but Marcus Mariota, I reckon, would have been a banger. But I never got around to the lyrics. I got like a chorus and a verse one night playing Football Manager, and then he was like terrible in preseason, and I was like, I cannot release a Marcus Mariota song. Like, I've stacked the deck with Tanner McKee. Let's just keep it there, and we'll roll with it. Matt says, who's your favourite writer from BSN, and why is it Regina? Is this a Regina Stan account? She is amazing, to be honest. She is an absolute star. Like, her Women's World Cup coverage was absolutely incredible. She helps with the Flyers. She helps with the Phillies. She's passionate. She's funny. Amazing. Love the girl to bits. And she's going to England later this year. So we're going to meet up and have a wholesome little photo opportunity to share with the world that PSN goes international. On that note, if you are coming to the Phillies games next year, let me know. I'll try and set up a PSN and like a meet and greet, not meet and greet, but like a meet up where we can all get together, have a few beers, and like maybe I'm sure that Passyunk Avenue, for anyone that is in England, like we'll have an event on, but we'll try and find somewhere where we can get everyone together and just like have big cuddles and beers and get soppy and sing, you know, the Clayton Thorson song at the top of our lungs. But yeah, love Regina. She's an absolute star. I haven't driven an F1 car. I can't even drive. That was the weirdest thing about being a commentator, is that I would genuinely like go, oh, he's oversteering, he's locked the brakes, having no idea how to do any of it. So that played a bit of a role, I suppose. But I did love it. Like, but if you've seen Drive to Survive, the commentator on it that does the actual race clips is the guy that got me into commentary. Like, he set me up with my first few gigs. We're still friends. We follow each other on Instagram and Twitter. Jack Nichols is his name. He's a lovely man. It's quite cool. Like, I met him at a car show in 2015, and I won the opportunity to commentate on the action there, and he was there, and we got chatting. Yeah, so I've got connections to F1 still, but yeah, I went my way. I'm lucky this one panned out because I wouldn't have forgiven myself if it didn't. I'm really curious here. We barbecue or go to stadium and tailgate, or hang on. Oh, I see. Right, sorry, I misread that. I'm getting tired. Here we barbecue or go to the stadium and tailgate and get ready. In the UK, you just set an alarm. Yeah, it depends on the night. I normally nap an hour before and wake up. So for my game day routine for the Eagles is wake up about 1 p.m., which is about 8 a.m. your time. Then look at content for the day, be it injury reports, be it last minute game previews, betting previews, that sort of thing. From there, maybe write one or two other pieces. And then normally I like to order a doner meat pizza, which is like lamb gyro, you guys call it, I think, where it's off the big meat spinner. That pizza, garlic mayonnaise, stuffed crust with cheese, a beer, football, put me into a food coma, my heart pounding out my chest, and I can't tell if it's the Eagles, my 12-leg parlay, or the pizza. I'm in, and that's my game day experience. And then they lose, I inevitably get annoyed at the Eagles or very happy, and then edit the article or write it depending on whoever's on duty that day, essentially. And that's that, really. And I'll watch the Sunday night game if it's not the Eagles, pass out during that, wake up, see if I've lost any money on DraftKings, which is usually a yes, and away we go. I was up late watching Super Bowl 52, like the Eagles jersey colour. That is a hell of a way to pick a team. I mean, you've got 2018 and 19 must have been one hell of an experience. I mean, that is like when I started supporting Charlton in 2005, year after they got relegated, and have never come back since. So I feel you on that. I respect the commitment. Has anyone seen Covey on the field yet? I don't really get Hinge and returns on a seemingly injured dude. I've not seen him. I mean, I thought it was Dion Kane. Or have I missed that? I thought it was Dion Kane and Britton Covey, but I mean, Covey has done stuff last year, though, I suppose, right? Like, there is experience there. It also wouldn't surprise. I mean, they've had Smitty back there at times. They used to have Djax back there a couple of years ago. It wouldn't surprise me genuinely if someone like Boston Scott or Kenny Gainwell started it while they've got that plethora of depth at running back. So that could be an element of interest for sure. A lot of people don't drive in Europe. Yeah, I just don't drive because I'm an idiot, right? Unfortunately, I started having lessons. Funny story. Again, this just ends up like me talking about nothing, doesn't it? I'm promised to get back. I wrote down all of my Eagles awards, right? I wrote a little list and everything. We're 38 minutes in. I've got nowhere near them. I love you guys. So I basically started therapy around 9 months ago or so, just so I was like, everything's stable in life, want to keep it that way, like address stuff from childhood, whatever. Therapist was like, you should probably get tested for ADHD because I think that would explain a lot. And I was like, okay, great. I was like, basically came off of the back of it on a conversation about I had driving lessons this time last year. And I kept taking the guy's advice, like literally, he'd be sat next to me in the car. And there was one point he'd be like, right, turn right now for me. And we were coming up to a junction. And I swear to God, I just turned right into the opposite lane and almost hit a car. And he was like, what are you doing? And like jolted and like put the brakes on. And I was like, you said turn right. Like, don't tell me to turn right and then get shot when I turn right. Like, I don't know what you're expecting there, mate. Like, tell me, turn right at the junction. I'll turn right at the junction. If you have to tell me to turn right, it's oncoming traffic. Game's the game. I do what I've got to do. I respect your command. So yeah, that's why I'm not driving as much. I mean, that and the fact lessons are super expensive, but yeah, it's a funny story, I suppose. You guys, but none of us can agree what we lamb gyros and pizza are my two favorite foods. Dude, I'm telling you, it is the best thing you'll ever eat. The best thing you'll ever eat. You get to lose your lamb. Yeah, I know. I'm gutted for that, to be fair. It's what a game to watch. Well, hopefully they lose, and that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm telling you now, Doner Meat Pizza. I'm not sure if you can get it made over there. Like, a lot of our like takeaway places do it. So you just go in there and they'll just get like, because kebabs are quite big here. Like, to get all the gyro meat into like flatbread with salad. They just put that on a pizza. Garlic mayo. If you can get that anywhere or make it yourself, it will change your life. I promise you. I'll put a picture up on Sunday. It is my favorite thing on the planet. Right then, I think I've caught up with the comments. I'm going to have a quick drink, if that's all right, because I've been talking non-stop. So I'm going to play my intro because I spent an hour on that today, and I'm quite proud of it. That and I can't talk. So I need a big cough. So I'm going to put the intro on. We'll come back after a quick breather. I'll do my awards. I'll get a bit soppy, and we'll call it a night, boys. So give me two. I've got to find it now. I'm not as technically eloquent as Brian. I've actually lost it. Oh, there it is. Right. Back in like 30 seconds. We're back. That was well timed, wasn't it? Lovely. Right, awards then. What's up, NFL Reality Check? Hope you're doing well. MVP, we got to, didn't we? I said Eagles MVP for this year will be Jalen Hurts. Any disagreements on that? Does anyone think there will be a different MVP for the team? Not in the league, just for the team's most valuable player. I think it's obviously Jalen Hurts. If we were to do an MVP award excluding Jalen Hurts, that would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm stuck now. I should have done that, shouldn't I? That's what that would have taken me half an hour. But my heart says it would be Devontae Smith. We'll get into that when I say my next award is most receiving yards, who I've also said Devontae Smith. So I think Smitty is on the edge of a huge breakout. The fact he crossed 1,000 yards last year, to me, is dazzling. I was on record this time last year of being very vocally concerned about the fact that you've got a 1A and a 1B receiver. Both of them are absolutely brilliant. But A.J. Brown commanded targets in Tennessee. Smitty commanded the lion's share in Philadelphia. I wasn't sure how they were going to get together, especially the caliber of both players. The fact they both got the yards they did was incredible. But I feel like I saw a lot of upside with Devontae Smith. Like, he was my favorite receiver coming out of college that year by a mile. When I did my receiver rankings, for those that remember a few years ago, like, if I had to put them all together, he graded out above Judy, above Ruggs, above literally anyone, like, from those past few years. So I loved his route running. I think there is no better route runner in the NFL, in my opinion. Jefferson's good. Jefferson's quick. He's sleek. He's clean. But I feel like there is an element of a mental IQ with Devontae Smith's route, where everything seems very premeditated. Jefferson's fantastic on the fly. There may be no better improvisational receiver in the NFL, and someone that can just move on a dime. I'm going to go left now. Done. Devontae, everything feels like I'm going to shake him out left. I'm going to go right. I'm going to cut back. And it's poetry in motion. It's so smooth. There's no wasted movement. And I think because of that, I'm just very excited to see what he can do. I think he'll be the man that leads the Eagles in receiving yards. I think he becomes that WR1 this year. I know it's a coin flip every game, but I do think they will be neck and neck. I think Smitty edges it this year. I really do. Anyone have any comments about most receiving yards? And while you do, it never ends. It never ends. I will take it. Look, it beats Sid the Sloth. Okay, if I go, it beats Sid the Sloth. I will take Joe Burrow over Sid the Sloth any day. Thank you, Maz Mohammed, for that. John says, Liam, welcome back. Coming from the UK, do you miss the NHS? I think we still got it. I think, as far as I'm aware. Have we lost it? I've not been paying attention. I feel like we have it. That's a rude awakening. If I found out I've got no healthcare in the middle of a live stream, it's up there with the racist writer. I can't lie. It's a close second for that. I don't know. But I mean, I love the NHS, so I hope you haven't lost it, because I like going to the doctors for free and them looking after me is quite nice. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've missed something. If you could fill me in, or if you've misinterpreted it, maybe let me know. With the Swift trade, do you think we see more running back catches? Yeah, for sure. But I think the big misconception or deception element is that you can go pony backfield with Swift and Gainwell. Both of them have receiving upside out of the backfield. You've got Jalen Hurts on an option. You've got receivers there. I don't think defenses are ready for that level of confusion and uncertainty. It is genuinely terrifying, like, how good that can be. So yeah, there's definitely gonna be more running back catches. There'll be a lot more like sort of misdirects and handoffs and running backs throwing things. Probably, I think there's gonna be all sorts back there. But it is genuinely incredible. Yeah, Matt's definitely right. I know there was someone that just said about Smitty on the sideline. Yeah, Tyrone. Yeah, I've not had the pleasure yet, but I love watching. I love watching Smitty. All 22 Devontae Smith film is the best film. Oh, I see, John. No worries. Okay, I was going to say you scared me. I was like, wake up and there's no healthcare. I was like, oh no, where's that gone? But I would miss if I moved to America, I would miss the NHS dearly. I wouldn't be too much of a fan. And that's no shot America. It's just I'm sure anyone would agree. Free healthcare is good. So I'd obviously miss it. But yeah, I thank you for the welcome back. Most sacks I've got written down as Hassan Reddick. I'm very intrigued to see reaction of that one. Does anyone have anyone else that is going to lead this team in sacks outside of Hassan Reddick? I'm sure there'll be a few Jalen Carters in there. I don't think Nolan Smith will lead it. I think he might get like 6, 7. I don't think Jordan Davis is going to lead the team in sacks. I just think the obvious answer is Hassan Reddick. Most improved player. This is where I want to get your guys' feature in now. Sweat. Whoa, hold on. Run back. We've heard a Josh Sweat comment. And I do like that. I know Josh Sweat has been a love child. But I tell you what, he's been the only player that I can remember for a long time, outside of Jalen Hurts, and obviously because he's been here longer, that has just got better every season. Like, I can't remember a player that has done that in Philadelphia for a while. So yeah, like that's a great shout. I didn't think of Josh Sweat. I still kind of see him as that like B to Brandon Graham in that rotation, but obviously it's very different now. Yeah, he has just gotten every single year, like he's taken another step. It's been very fun to watch. It's a great shout. I think Reddick starts slow with the thumb, says Matt. Sweat leads the team. 2 votes on Josh Sweat. Wow, okay. I might have to dig back through some Josh Sweat tape. Most improved player, right? I'll tell you mine in a moment. Tyrone said Quez Watkins. I don't know. I'm not sold on Quez. I'm really not. I think he was quite limited. What we've seen out of Quez Watkins is, I think, realistically what we can get out of Quez Watkins, which is just someone that is very quick, can be a bit streaky with the hands. Like he doesn't have the ball tracking as some of the guys that went much further than him in the NFL draft. And I do think Olamide Zaccheaus genuinely is the player that the Eagles hoped Quez Watkins would be. And that's not a shot at Quez. I just think Zaccheaus in Atlanta proved so much last year. Also, the fact that he's listed as like an outside depth guy on the depth chart. So I like that. There's an element there of like they trust him enough to run outside. I don't think Quez can. And that's why if he is quite limited, it's fair enough. I think OZ has that extra level where if they need him to replace Smitty on the outside, he's built for that Z role, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it. I mean, Quez has seemingly taken the Jalen Reagor take to social media and shut everyone up approach. If it puts a chip on you, look, I'm all for putting chips on the shoulders. That's been my entire life story. Any excuse to put a chip on my shoulder, I will. We've got most improved is hard. Everyone was pretty solid. Blankenship, but see, I almost went Reed Blankenship. I almost did. The guy I went with was, if you can't hear this, it's really embarrassing, but I'm doing a drum roll. Jack Stoll, tight end. No one's going to give him the time of day, obviously, since Albert O. I don't want to try and pronounce Ogwekibum, Albert. Since he's come in, they're like, well, that's obviously TE2. Realistically, Jack Stoll was the one who has progressively got more snaps in Philadelphia. He is limited as a receiving option, sure, but as a blocking tight end, very prolific. And he also got a lot of praise from Dallas Goedert this past offseason. Goddard going as far to say that he's worked with him personally, that they're two are very close, and he helps him with routes and that sort of thing. And I feel like if you're learning from Dallas Goedert and he's out of that entire group, he's the name that you go to. Like Dallas names you, that's got to count for something. So I think if afforded the opportunity, Jack Stoll will be the most improved. I just don't think we're going to see him, if that makes sense, with Albert O there. Yeah, so there's that. There is that. Overlooked to overbooked. So a player that starts off down here and ends up over there. Dave Essie's in the chat after we just said how much we loved him earlier. David's here. Nice to see you, Dave. I hope all is well with you, my friend. Oh, no, I'd give you a little hug if I could. Overlooked to overbooked. I would say my most overlooked player now that is going to end up being one of the mainstays later is Sidney Brown. I genuinely if I could somehow find a prop to be like, are the Eagles going to implement a star role on this defense? I would lump everything on it, and my girlfriend will be very, very angry. I genuinely feel as though Sidney Brown is destined for that role. He may start as a second safety, but Terrell Edmonds, I feel like he's the better fit for it. Let Sidney Brown eat. Give him that old Malcolm Jenkins spot. Let him just roam around the defense. Put him on tight ends. He can carry them vertically. Put him on running backs out in the backfield. He's got the speed to go with them. He can go sideways. He's vicious. He's He's an aggressive tackler. The only weakness is he's not the cleanest. He does take some bad angles, and that can hurt him at times. John has got an interesting point. Jordan Davis should improve most if he's able to be effective in the 4-man fronts and third downs. I agree. You're going to hate me, though, because, however, I've got him as the biggest disappointment. And that is not because he's going to be bad. I think it is because that he is in a room surrounded by Fletcher Cox, who is one of the best defensive tackles of this generation. That's not up for debate. We can all agree, right? Jalen Carter, all the hype in the world on him. Milton Williams, much lighter, much faster. It was to take advantage of those isolated looks because of what Jordan Davis provides. Then you've got the defensive ends, Nolan Smith, Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat. I just do not see Jordan Davis doing enough to break out statistically. And that's going to almost, the last couple of years, everyone's been like angry at Fletcher Cox, saying, oh, Fletcher's lost it. Fletcher's lost a set. Fletcher's had a sack in 3 weeks, blah, blah, blah. But all of the dirty work he does is swallowing up double teams to allow those other guys to thrive, just as Tyrone says. So Jordan Davis is very much built that same way. The guy is a wrecking ball. You cannot leave him one-on-one. He is going to be too much. But because of that, he's not going to show up on the stat sheet. And I feel like consensually, if that is what I'm looking for, like among Eagles fans, they want to see Jordan Davis like explode in like an Aaron Donald fashion because he was a first-round pick. He's from Georgia, defensive tackle. Like there's just a stigma with defensive tackles equals sacks, and that's just not the case here. And that's not what Jordan's role will be. So I think because of that, he will be the biggest disappointment. But if that's the level we're at, if the biggest disappointment is we misunderstand the role of a player, I think this Eagles team is going to be pretty damn good. You know, like there is no player I'm looking at that I think is going to flop this year that I can think of anyway. I'm going to try and just run through. Yeah, I was going to half say Nichols Dean, but I feel like I can't because everyone will shout at me for that because everyone loves him. Maybe I will. Maybe I will go a bit edgy. Maybe I will say Nichols Dean, and I'll wear it on my chest and I'll stand up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I like Nichols Dean. There was upside last year. He's got potential, but there is a lot of pressure on him to man that Mike position. There is no insurance policy whatsoever. One of the guys they brought in retired 2 weeks later. He just came to training camp and went, nah, you're right. Sorry, I'm off. See you guys. I think he's gone something like private, isn't he now, Miles Jack? Or like businessy or something. Like he wants to start a local business, which fair play to him. Love that. Nicholas Morrow didn't do much of anything. Zach Cunningham, tackle machine, but he's sort of a bit... If Alex Singleton could cover, is where I put Zach Cunningham. Like very good at scraping, very good against the run, but he can cover as well. So like, I like Zach Cunningham, but there isn't a lot of depth. And I feel like if Nichols Dean isn't up to scratch, it's going to show up, really. I mean, the only hope it doesn't is that you've got Reddick one side, maybe Smith the other. A lot of DBs there for backup. The safety room's pretty set. That might mask some of it, but I feel like there's going to be such a spotlight on Nichols Dean, which he didn't really get that much of the opportunity last year. He was sort of just flourishing a little bit towards the end. But now he has been like the mainstay of the offseason. Like every article is Nichols this, Nichols that. How's Nichols in camp? How's Nichols? What did Nichols have for breakfast this morning? What does Nichols do in his spare time? Does Nichols watch the new Star Wars film? Like whatever. And there is so much like wanting Nichols Dean to succeed that if he doesn't properly ball out, there will be a level of disappointment there. And that's not to say he's going to play particularly bad. I just think the expectation is that high. I'm not sure he's going to meet it year one. Like year two, or technically year two, but you know what I'm saying. Maddox had a down year with that toe. Hope he comes back as strong. Yeah, I mean, that's another one where it's going to suck a bit because obviously Zach McPherson is now out for injury. Obviously not related to Matt McPherson, I presume. If not, I'm sorry. I actually love Nichols is my best friend. Don't tell him. I don't want him to beat me up. But yeah, like there is depth there. I mean, I'm a big sort of Mario Goodrich guy. I like Josh Joby. Eli Ricks getting on the roster is fantastic. I'm a big Keely Ringo guy. It does afford those guys opportunities, and I think it does allow Sidney Brown to maybe flex into that spot a little, if so called. But yeah, I mean, even Maddox on a bit of a down year isn't bad. The only thing with him is availability. realistically, Zach McPherson was meant to be your starting slot corner this year, or even last year. No one expected that Maddox would have the breakout in 2021 that he did. No one expected he would get the payday that he did. Like, it was a must for the Eagles. Like, he was that damn good. So it did put a bit of a glass ceiling over Zach McPherson. And now he's obviously torn his Achilles and he's out for the year. So I'm really hoping, that's a new one. I'm really hoping that he can recover from that injury and make up some ground soon. He wants to be a plumber. I think I knew it was something like that. But yeah, what a man. Fair enough. With Dean, all I care about is him setting the defense. If he makes plays good, but he has to get guys set. That's a good point. And a lot of that is going to come from that like intrinsic leadership. And you'd like to think that having Jalen Carter, having Jordan, having Nolan around him, having Keeley, guys that he's familiar with, it would raise confidence in doing so because you know those guys, you know how they're going to react, they're going to respect you. Like telling someone that's been, it's like going into a new job and, you know, if you work in retail and you go like the 10-year veteran guy's walking around, he's been here, whatever. You're like, oh, John, can you just come on tools or something? I need you for something. Okay. Do you know what I mean? There's an element of that there. So you won't have that with that familiarity, which is always good for sure. The only thing that's similar between me and Zach is that we're both Scottish. Ah, fair. Love to see it. I had no idea you were Scottish. But I'm not the only one suffering the 1 a.m. That explains the question then. That explains the 1 p.m. games. I share my name with Zach. So we've got a Zach and we've got a McPherson. I think there's some burner accounts going on here. I don't know. You guys be the judge on that. We've only got a few minutes to go. So I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone for tuning in today. Again, I didn't really know how well it'd be received. I certainly didn't expect Eugene Krabs to send me $101. And that was, again, incredibly kind. So just thank you for that. I mean, shout out to Eugene. If he's still here, just tag him and give him a little heart because he definitely deserves it. That is a beautiful gesture. But yeah, thank you guys. If you haven't liked the video, please make sure you do. It helps the algorithm remind the world that I still exist. That's always good to get more of you guys in. But I will be back on Monday recapping the Eagles game. Are we going to come away from week 1 proud, disappointed, happy, excited? Who knows? We're about to find out. But just thank you for everything, for having me back. I'm glad to be back. We're going to make this again 3 times a week live for an hour to talk all things Eagles, get chaotic, have some fun along the way. Enjoy your weekends, guys. Enjoy the first week of the season. And just thank you for showing up for this. Like I said, you genuinely don't understand how much it means. So thank you. Enjoy. Yeah, I'm going to repeat myself 8 times otherwise. So I'm going to end it there before I start crying. But just cheers for hanging out, bearing with me, being patient while I figured out the best way to come back. Like, I wasn't sure. I was like, do I start streaming? Do I do videos? Do I want the podcast back? Like, again, then it's the people still care. I even still got a personal brand. Like, I know it's all PSN, but have I got enough personal, like, I feel like I peaked. I peaked a long time. I'm not sure. I'm like Deshaun Jackson coming back for another rodeo, but I want to make this one more successful on YouTube. So no shots, D-Jax. Yeah, enjoy your weekend, guys. Thank you so much for the love. And again, thank you to Eugene Krabs for the donation. I'm going to try and work out how to play an outro. I'll see you Monday, guys. Go Birds. See you soon.